So questions for Coach. To our right, Coach, about the third row here on the far end.
Richard Walker, Gaston Gazette newspaper. Chazz Surratt's an incoming freshman, Parade National Player of the Year from our area. How can you assess how he's doing so far, and do you have any idea if he'll be able to play this year?
Yeah, Chad had an elbow injury that ended his high school career a little bit early, and so, you know, as Chaz got there, he has been doing some rehab. I think they've told me he's somewhere around 95%. You know, hoping that when we start camp, he's going to be able to go full speed and throw it like he can. We're excited about what Chaz brings. He's a lefty who can spin the ball. He can run. He's very athletic, you know, and he's won multiple state championships in high school. So he has that it factor about himself, and so we're excited about it.
Coach, left of the room, about the 8th row, red shirt.
Coach, John McCann with the Herald Sun in Durham. If you don't put up the number of points that you did last season, how reliable is your punting?
Say that again?
How reliable is your punting?
My punt team. Wow, you know what? That's a great question, John. I don't know yet. We haven't named a starting punter yet. You know, I can tell you that the other 10 guys, they're going to do their job. But right now, we haven't had a guy separate himself as a punter. You know, we know we're going to have somebody out there 43 days from now on September 3rd. We're going to put somebody out there to punt if we have to punt. You know, whether we put up those points or not, we're going to have a punter throughout the season. And that has been a huge weapon for us in the past, and we need to get back to that being that.
Coach, right side, first row.
Coach Dan Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com. Heard a lot about Mitch, just what you can say about his patience over the years and what you've seen from him, his work ethic, knowing that he had to wait his turn and now it's here.
Yeah, you know, I can't say enough good things about Mitch Trubisky, okay, and the situation that Mitch has been in society today. It's not about be patient and work your way into a position. It's more of a sense of entitlement for most people nowadays that you should be given something because of something you did in the past. That's not the approach that Mitch Trubisky or his family took when he came to the University of North Carolina. He knew that he was going to have to compete, and he competed. He competed every single day, you know, and he didn't win the job early on, but it was not a sense of frustration for him. It was just, I need to work harder. And so Mitch has done that. He knew his time was coming. His time's here. I think he's excited about it. There's no doubt in my mind he's prepared because of the reps that he's had, meaningful reps in games. And also there was a spring where he was the #1 quarterback the entire spring. You know, so he's gotten reps. He feels good about where he's at. Nothing's going to rattle him. You know, I expect him to perform pretty well.
Coach, left side against the door, yellow shirt.
Yes, Coach. Jerry DePaula, Pittsburgh Tribune Review. There's a lot of good running backs in the ACC this year. You have one, Florida State. Pitt has a couple, Clemson. Is the ACC maybe going against the grain a little bit and, you know, more of a ground attack overall with a lot of schools, you know, running all those fancy passing formations?
Well, you are correct that we've got some great running backs in our league. There's no doubt about it. I mean, they'll match up with anybody in the country. They really will. And, you know, I think it's still based on each school's individual scheme. I do believe that in this league, you're not. I'm not going to say that you know probably the Big 12 is throwing it all over the place all the time. But if you listen to coaches in the Big 12, they still feel like they need to be able to run the ball. You know, we in this league believe that you've got to be able to run the ball to be successful. I don't know that there's one program out there that says they're going to throw it 60 times a game and be successful. You know, if you're throwing it 60 times a game, you're probably trying to come from behind. That's what's happening. So, but I do agree with you completely that we've got some great running backs in our league right now.
Coach, back to your right here, second row.
Bob Halliday, WRL.com, Coach. Last year you were last in rushing defense, second last in total defense, and yet amazingly, like only fourth or fifth, among the very best in the league in scoring defense. How did you pull that off, and what part did Dez and the secondary guys do and enable you to have such a huge disparity between yards allowed and points allowed?
Yeah, you know what? I'll be honest with you guys. We don't put a whole lot of stock in yards allowed anymore. We don't. I mean, total yards on defense. That's really not even a stat that we pay any attention to. The most important stat is scoring defense. That's the way we look at it. Now, there are other stats that play into that role. You know, turnovers, all those different things. But scoring defense is number one. I mean, if you don't let them get in the end zone, it doesn't matter how many times you let them run up and down the field. You know. So that is the number one thing. Why were we so good at that? I thought our guys, you know, they even if we gave up plays, and if you look up, we didn't give a whole lot of, you know, explosive plays. I mean, we pretty much held people track. They had to work for what they got. And, you know, for that reason, I think we were probably good on scoring defense. And I think we're going to continue to be that way. It's very important because that's the number one stat for us defensively.
Coach, back of the room, camera platform.
Hey, Coach, Eric Hager from WSB-TV in Atlanta. What are your thoughts on opening up against teams like Georgia in a kind of a special game to start the seasons?
Well, I can tell you, our football team and myself, our staff, we're all extremely excited about playing in that Chick-fil-A Classic. Like I said, we're 43 days away. You get to play the University of Georgia. Everybody knows the tradition of their team. You know, it's all they do is win at least 10 games a year. They've recruited you know, every year in the recruiting rankings. They're in the top 10 every single year. So they got great players at every position. You know, whether it's going to be a Nick Chubb or a Sony Michel or you know, whoever else they have in their stable. I promise you, they're going to have a dang good running back there. They don't know who the quarterback's going to be, but it's going to be a good one. We know that. Kirby Smart is a hell of a football coach. He's put together a great staff. They have the support that they need to be successful. So we're excited about it. You know, for us, we look at it, it's kind of a measuring stick. Where are we in our program at this point? You know, at the same time, we know that a game like that doesn't make or break our season. It really has nothing to do with the goals that we have for our season. So we want to go up, we want to be prepared. We're going to go to that neutral site of Atlanta, and we're gonna give it our best.
Coach, left side, about the 7th row.
Coach Tony DeFazio with the Pittsburgh Sports Report. There are 3 first-year head coaches in the ACC Coastal Division this year and a 4th who's just entering his 2nd season. Does that add to the challenge in terms of preparation, you know, familiarizing yourself with the opposition?
Yeah, you know what? It does, but luckily when you're playing in conference, it's usually, for us, it's like the 4th game of the season, and you get on into your season. So you actually have some film to study. You know, where it hurts you is in these early games. You know, our first 3 opponents all are brand new head coaches and new staffs. And so that makes it much more difficult when you're trying to prepare for them without any film. You know, they obviously have the advantage where they know what you're going to do, and you're going to have to do a great job of adjusting during those games. And so hopefully with a mature team that we have, we're going to be able to make those adjustments early on.
Coach, your last question will come 3rd row, right side.
Lance Lasowski from DKPittsburghSports.com. What are your thoughts on the Coastal? It really seems like this is one of those years where it could go either way. It's kind of wide open.
I think it's been wide open every year, I think, in the Coastal, hadn't it? I mean, that's one of the things you guys write about all the time is that anybody can win the Coastal. I can tell you this with the, you know, the new coaches that have come into the Coastal. You look at the head football coaches in this league. You look at, you know, what's happening in our league in the last 3-4 years. I mean, this is a hell of a division. It really is. And from top to bottom, there's a lot of strength. And, you know, the new coaches that are coming in only going to make it stronger. So, you know, we're excited about it. I mean, you know, it's exciting to play in a league like this.
Coach, thank you.
All right, thank
Good
you.
luck. Folks, Pitt is due up next.